Hi, I'm Chad Lawson. This is Bay Area Maker Faire, and you're watching Verbose Mode. Hi, I'm Chad Lawson, and this is Verbose Mode, the podcast dedicated to learning to learn and the freedom to fail. Last month, I was lucky enough to attend the 12th annual Bay Area Maker Faire. This is one of the two flagship Maker Fairs. If you're not familiar with the Maker Faire movement, throughout the world at any given time, any given weekend, there are a number of places that are doing these Maker Fairs. Essentially, it is called let me go ahead and run this very first bit, kind of called the Great Show and Tell on Earth, and the Bay Area Maker Faire is gigantic. I thought at one point going through it that I was just about at the ending, and I exited one building and looked around and looked at the map and realized I was still smack dab in the middle. So the Bay Area Maker Faire is huge, and as I mentioned, that was the 12th annual one this last month. For me, this was absolutely amazing. There are a number of things that I saw that I've seen at other Maker Fairs, including the one we have here, Milwaukee Maker Faire. This year will be our fourth, and I'll have more of that at the end of this episode. But I wanted to show off a couple things that I saw. First of all, to understand the flavor of this, there's this giant animatronic octopus, the inflatable jack, T-Rex on a unicycle, along with a number of different odd vehicles, R2-D2 being chased by a skeleton, the ice cream cone and cakes. I kept seeing these everywhere. I loved the desk with the newscasters I was waiting for them to start talking about the race for the cupcakes, but that not getting started. This gentleman I kept seeing everywhere with his chariot, and then we had the golden spiral and the giant ant. These were the last two were not only vehicles that were there, but they were also fairly major exhibits. One of the things that I've seen at other maker fairs is the dark space. They'll have a giant room that is usually completely blocked off from light. The doors were open for this particular event, but we had the 3D zeotrope to be able to see the effect with the strobe. There was a camera and that's me waving. It took the outline of what it's on the camera and drew it on the wall with a laser. Giant LED board, as you might expect to see. There was a company there that was creating these persistence of vision bike spokes, and so you could take a selfie and tweet it to them, and it would suddenly appear on the bike spokes that the one gentleman was riding. And that is an example of one of the products that was started off as a crowdsourced thing and coming to fruition. There were plenty of other things in what was the maker to market. This is one of my favorite areas, seeing people take from robotics and development boards, taking their products to market. I love the mechanical flipboards, but there were also shoes and glasses. There was tea, there was chocolate, and there was these edible bugs that I was not brave enough to try. But a number of the people that were there had the Kickstarter logo on their thing, so you could follow them through their Kickstarter. And if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, it's a website, one of a number of different crowdsource services where a organization or an individual that is creating a product and wants to bring this to market can find people that are interested in the product and get funding to bring it to the next level. And I've been very fortunate on Kickstarter. Every single project that I have backed has come to fruition, so I've been very, very fortunate in that regard. So for me, it's really neat seeing these makers that were part of this and taking their passions and bringing it to market. Now, you saw in there the tea and the chocolate, as well as the edible bugs. What was other interesting, I tend to think of the maker movement in terms of electronics, robotics, ironwork, essentially very much big solid construction. So for me to see so much things like the chocolate and the tea, these are again labors of love that people are finding ways to create and express themselves. There was an entire pavilion that I almost not get into, the homegrown pavilion. The day that I brought my camera, that was as far as I could get into it. It was packed wall to wall. The second day I managed to get through, and I just didn't have the room to extend a camera to show you, but the number of people doing hydroponics and different ways of growing and different ways of doing cultivating soil, creating vertical gardens. So when you have a limited amount of space, to be able to create a garden even within an alley behind your house. To me, this was this urban farming. It was an amazing thing, and way outside of what I was really expecting. I also really enjoyed seeing a number of makerspaces there. If you're not familiar with the makerspace movement, this is somewhat related to it, but the makerspace movement is creating these community spaces where people can come together and not only learn, but also have access to various tools to develop things. So if you think about it from the standpoint of why do people join a gym, it's so that you can use a treadmill, free weights, etc., without having to own the equipment yourself. And Makerspace is much the same, but in this case, instead of using free weights, you're using drill press, bandsaws, arc welders, forges, electronics, soldering iron, in our case also 3D printers and laser cutters. So the not only having access to the tools, but also having access to the experience of the other members who are always willing to share. And so I was really glad to see a number of spaces represented. There's the Crucible, and I loved their little flame jet going off. The Sin Shop is a particular favorite of mine in Vegas. I've been there a couple times. It's wonderful. But this one absolutely amazed me. The Maker Spaceship was put on by the San Jose Public Library, and they had this RV that had an entire makerspace inside it. The people that were inside and presenting about it, these were the librarians, and they were truly passionate about being able to make sure that this free exchange of information was available to people. So while there is a makerspace inside the public library, they also have this mobile one to be able to take around and bring to organizations and companies that want to be able to experience a makerspace themselves. Now, as I mentioned, this is not Bay Area Maker Faire. While it's one of the two flagships, it is not the only Maker Faire in the world. There are dozens, if not hundreds, throughout the world, and you can go to makerfaire.com/map and see this map, and I'll have the link in the show notes. And down then, scrolling a little further down, is the timeline. Now, this screen that you're seeing here, this is just the first screen and the first scrolling screen, and this is just the month of June and July, I believe. Yeah, this is just the end of June and beginning of July. So you can see that this is they are everywhere, and pretty much any given weekend you're going to find either anywhere from one of the big flagships. There's the two, a number of featured ones like Milwaukee Maker Faire, and then all the way down to mini Maker Fairs throughout the world, and people that are coming together to be able to be a part of this community. Now, I mentioned Milwaukee Maker Faire. This is our fourth one coming up at the end of this year. September 23rd and 24th at the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Milwaukee Maker Faire is one of the largest free to attend, whereas it cost me, I think, $45 to get into Bay Area Maker Faire. Milwaukee Maker Faire is completely free for anyone to attend. There's a call right now for makers open, so if you want to come on out and show off whatever projects you've either built or are still working on. I did get to hear a number of stories at Bay Area about people that brought projects they were working on, and by the end of the fair, they already had people that had provided them. They were stuck on some little bit, and just from talking to people that were coming by, found the information they needed to finish up this particular project. The two big flagship fairs, the other one, unfortunately, it overlaps slightly with Milwaukee Maker Faire. We'd love to have you at Milwaukee, but the World Maker Faire is New York, and that is September 22nd and 24th in New York, 22nd to 24th. This is their 8th World Maker Faire. And then Bay Area Maker Faire, again, is in May, so it'll be next year. This will be their 13th, one of the longest, if not the longest running Maker Faire, and that's May 18th through 20th of next year. So please, if you get a chance, find a local Maker Faire, stop by and see what it's all about. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any other questions about this, you can, of course, follow us on Twitter. You can find us on verbosemode.tv through the web, Twitter at verbosemode.tv, YouTube, find us at verbosemode.tv. Yeah, come on out and see a Maker Faire. And if you have any questions about Maker Faires and Makerspaces, give us a ring, and we'll see you very soon for the next episode of Verbose Mode TV. Cool. That was better than it was.